They'd be required to assess these comorbidities and to report the results in terms of those comorbidities. Now, obviously, if they're a CFS researcher, we hope they'll be interested in recruiting and reporting a pure CFS cohort within their study. When I did a pure MCS study of immunology a decade ago, our funders were adamant, get those pure MCS cases. We couldn't find enough to study. Fortunately, they allowed us to go forward characterizing the extensive overlap with chronic fatigue and with fibromyalgia. We don't know yet if there's one elephant in the room. Maybe there's 3 elephants in the room. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dene. And thank you to all the commenters for honoring the time and for making your comments available to everyone. Okay, I will turn things back to Chairman Oleski and see where you go from there. While you're gathering your thoughts, we have distributed to the committee and have put on the table in the back, sadly, because I did this, not the professionals. I came in early and the copy machine was jammed. When I got it unjammed, put paper in it, I put the thing in backwards. So it looks like the front page is blank. This is the listing of CFSAC recommendations since September 2004, sorted by focus area, agency, and progress. Should be on the table in the back, and just indulge us. I did not want to waste paper. Just flip that page over. It will show you page 1, and bear with it. We have given this to the committee, and some committee members may want to discuss this, but I did want to at least update yesterday.
Unfortunately, I left my copy upstairs.
Okay, take this one. And there are some, yeah, of course, it's the same copies. And just because I did report numbers yesterday, we had a total of 38 recommendations that we reported on the Performance Web. And what we reported was analysis earlier this year, and it has actually been updated and is reflected on this table. So we are showing that 11 of those 38 recommendations showed yes as a progress note. This is all Performance Web requests, and then whether we expect progress, we noted another 10. So that's 21 out of 38 of the committee's recommendations since 2004. So I wanted to be sure that the committee members all have this document and that attendees are aware of it on the table in the back, and then I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Oleski.
Thank you very much. We have some time to make for general discussion, but then we are going to have the special emphasis panel coming
at 11 is Jerry Holmberg from Blood Safety.
Okay. So at what time is that going to be?
11. You have about a half hour.
All right. We have about. I think it'd be worthwhile then to have the committee look at what Wanda has put.
Morris, remember, has had his hand up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's right. During the testimony from our community, the rules have been that during each presentation there would be no questions allowed. That could be changed, I guess, if the group wanted to do that. But Morris, you had a question after one of the speakers.
Yeah, thanks. During Dr. Meisel's presentation, he talked about the trial that was presented at the conference. It was at the international conference. Yeah. Do you have, was that publication published? Was that study published?
Abstract. Is there a paper yet, Lee? It was very promising. And remember, this is a new drug. It's not Valcyte or Valgang cyclodara. It's a different one.
But I was looking for the data.
No, there's in trial.
There was an abstract for the ICAC conference, and there's probably some information on the ICAC website, but I'm not sure about that. No papers have been studied
yet.
Who's
the first author, do you know?
What's that?
The first author, who presented?
Hank Balfour made the presentation from University of Minnesota.
Okay, I think that's important for people to have so they can adequately assess the study.
Okay, yeah, it's not, there's no publication yet, but there will be.
Okay.
We'll try to get a link to that abstract if it's on the ICAC website and make that available.
I've got on my hard drive, I have a copy of the abstract. I can forward it to whomever.
Yeah, it would be better if we can get a link that's what's accessible to the public. So, respecting
Okay.
ICAC, there might be copyright issues or something.
Okay, I'll try to find that out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much. Okay.
And ICAC, just for the record, is the Inter-Science Conference on Antimicrobials and I've forgotten now, it's many years ago.
It's ID.
Yes, it's infectious disease, but it's like the big anti-infectious disease drug conference.
It's more revolved around
Inter-Science Conference on Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy.
Perfect.
Past life.
But it is, a lot. We have a half hour, and I would suggest that we have now a table in front of us that gives whether there's progress or not on our recommendations. And I think it'd be a worthwhile effort, unless everyone disagrees, that we go one by one, not spending a lot of time, but at least reviewing it to see if we want to restate that recommendation, table it for discussion later on, or that everything is done that we want to have done with that particular recommendation. Some discussion like that. Is that agreeable to people? Because it's free half hour, not free half hour, but I want to use it wisely. Is that okay with people?
Jim,
Okay.
can I just make a quick comment?
Sure.
If there's over almost 30 recommendations and we have 30 minutes, that's like 1 minute per
Well,
recommendation.
I don't think we're going to get through it, but what we can do is start the process, and then if it looks like this is a good process at our other times, we can then continue.
Well, let me note as well, just as to how this chart is structured, the research recommendations are clustered. We tried to put the recommendations that are most similar close to each other. This is not chronologically listed per se. So there are a few pages for the research recommendations. There are a few pages for education and training. And these are, very rough, recognizing some of these recommendations could have fit in more than one bucket, but we tried to pick the best representation for what the recommendation was directed at. So,
The first page, for example, I think says over and over again at each one of the committee meetings about centers of excellence. And I do think it's still an important topic. It may be worthwhile for us to look at this and see what, if any, agency relevance occurred and any progress made on it. So if no one objects,
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Nancy.
It's
No.
It's a process. It says that there was no progress, so I don't think we have to ask if there was. There's none. The question is, the reason why this appears over and over again is the very high level of importance this committee applies to this recommendation. And the reason why it was reworded from NIH to the other two versions was to bring it a level higher and ask the secretary to use any HHS resource available to establish these centers, because we were told that the NIH had no mechanism to do so. And so I think that I would underscore, as a member of this committee that has a little memory of the history, each and every one of these are not redundant. They are repetitive because of the importance this committee places on this particular recommendation. And I might add that when David Bell was chair, it was the #1 recommendation as he left.
Yep.
And it still is, and we went through an entire presidential administration since then.
And when I leave at the end of this meeting, I would say that if I left any recommendation I'd like to see happen, it would be the establishment of the Centers of Excellence linked to do the kind of clinical trials we need to get to the answer. Leonard.
Go to Nancy's point. This certainly is something we've looked at for many years, and it certainly indicates that there's a no for progress. I'm wondering whether it's appropriate for us to find out what happened when that recommendation went to the Secretary's office and what the feedback was back to us as to why this was either difficult to implement or could not be implemented.
Or if it went.
If I can, all recommendations from all federal advisory committees, by their charter and by the regulations that authorize that committee's existence, all of those recommendations are transmitted to the responsible authority. In our